Congressman, I see you are wearing a hat. What does that hat say?
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He, every night, has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans, just as Greg Gutfeld on Fox has a right to be not funny and go on his network and entertain Americans. It's a part of who we are, John, and frankly, it should shake every American that the President of the United States is out there firing comedians who make fun of him. That is not who we are, and every American should care and stand up to this.
The only thing that I would say as it pertains to Jimmy Kimmel was, where was the joke? Because you're a late night host, and obviously that has a comedic attachment to it. Where was the joke? Obviously, it wasn't anything funny about that.
You use the phrase propaganda, Professor, and I just have to ask you, what do you consider what Jimmy Kimmel was doing every night, or what Stephen Colbert was doing by having on only Democratic guests? Jimmy Kimmel Monday night flat lied about the shooter. Back in the spring, he egged his audience on in cheering on the violence against and wanting, kind of wishing, I think, the downfall of a publicly traded company, Tesla. Do you consider that to be propaganda? Is it good for a business?
Do you consider that to be free speech, Scott?
You use the phrase propaganda.
I'm asking you. You used the words free speech before. Do you consider that free speech?
I consider it to be speech, and he's obviously free to say it.
Will you defend that speech in this country that will defend to the death the speech of others? Will you defend Jimmy Kimmel's speech?
Do I defend Jimmy Kimmel going on television and saying that a shooter from the left...
You defend his right to do so.
He has a right to do so, but he does not have a right to have a television show where he lies his ass off to the American people and attacks half this country on a nightly basis.
Whoa.
What is up with these media talking heads, bro? Stop playing with my dog, Scott Jennings. He not playing with y'all today, yo. Scott Jennings been dusting these Democrats and this so-called journalism professor. And I already talked about journalism professors, right? One, you're a college professor. That's already left-wing dominated. That's already an ideological echo chamber. And then you're also a journalism professor. Double whammy if I ever seen it. And you saw his sensibility. So you saw from the intro, the liberal left want us to be as shaken and outraged over Jimmy Kimmel losing his show for spreading misinformation and not even being funny about it, right? Stephen A. Smith asked a simple question. Where's the joke? There was no punchline to it. It didn't culminate into anything, right? This is propaganda. And the journalism professor, he was calling Trump wants propaganda, but that's what you want, right? You only want a left-wing worldview. Scott Jennings highlight accurately, factually, that Jimmy Kimmel only have guests that are Democrats, but he's not pushing propaganda. The national media being more upset at Jimmy Kimmel losing his show than they are of Charlie Kirk losing his life is kind of proving the point. And all the left-wing people crying about cancel culture when here's 2023, Jimmy Kimmel celebrating Tucker Carlson getting fired from Fox. Make it make sense. But hey, if it ain't double standards, like what the D in Democrats stands for. I want to play a few other clips and segments. One from BS Now, right? And how these people are so backwards, right? You want us to cry and be like, oh my God, like they want to boycott Disney, ABC, and hey, go for it. Hey, I support liberals boycotting Disney and ABC, right? Because they folded to Trump. Jimmy Kimmel was losing the money. If they were firing Stephen Colbert, who had a more successful show than Jimmy Kimmel, bro, it was bound to happen. And this is the funny part with these Democrats, and this is why I think a lot of Democrats are just out of touch, because it's like they don't hear themselves, they don't see themselves, it's almost like they don't reflect on previous positions they had before. Because the left, from my estimation, from what I see from the liberal media, they only take a position when it's convenient for them, as per example right here.
BBC made the announcement Kimmel would indeed be taken off the air indefinitely. And this is just the latest chapter in Donald Trump's ongoing campaign to crack down on free speech, dominate the media, and essentially render the First Amendment meaningless. So it was for the journeyman cable news host Tucker Carlson, just fired from his third network. He believed he could say anything, no matter how vile, no matter how disgusting, no matter how offensive, no matter how dehumanizing or belittling. And if you act like a sociopath over and over and over and over, you will become unpopular on the national stage. That's just like a basic principle. Over time, probably not going to work out well for you in the long run. Eventually, people will be rightly offended, disgusted by it.
That is why we exist. Not to knuckle under, not to do what we're told, but to stand up and to say, listen, if you want to pull these licenses, then we're going to go to court, and we'll be in the court of public opinion. But you don't get to go on a podcast and set policy for American media, for an American media institution that's been around a lot longer than me, you, or Donald Trump. This is a red line that has been crossed for our industry, for the First Amendment, for the right of people to speak. There was nothing hateful about what was said, and even hateful speech is protected. This is not acceptable. If you are going to run a media organization, it's called a news organization, you have to stand up to government bullying anywhere in the world, and certainly in the United States.
The way Van Jones was talking, it's almost as if the stuff that happened with Charlie Kirk never occurred, right? He act like the Jimmy Kimmel cancellation happened before the Charlie Kirk assassination. The way he was talking, a red line has been crossed in our industry. A red line has been crossed in our country. A man died merely because he was willing to defend his beliefs and debate against anybody. He had an open mic for the other side. Prove me wrong. Let's debate. And because he didn't like the way he was debating, you shot him. Yeah, someone who aligned with your side shot him using language that you're pushing irresponsibly. Maxwell Frost. If you're new to my channel, I'm from Florida. I'm currently in Florida. I live in Florida, born in Florida, probably gonna die in Florida. I do not like Maxwell Frost. This is just me, all right? I don't like that guy. I don't know something about him. I don't like him. And he just went out on a press conference calling Trump, the GOP, the FCC commissioner, fascist. And we're supporting fascism and all this stuff. But were you supporting fascism when y'all was cheering for Gina Carano? Because she said that, hey, the way that the left is demonizing conservatives is the same way that Nazi demonized the Jews. Yeah, Disney fired her for those comments. Right? The left called it hate speech. Right? Jimmy Kimmel, right? And because y'all talk when it was Tucker Carlson and he spread something that was untrue and y'all said that was lies, he lost his job for it. Y'all are happy about that. But Jimmy Kimmel lied about Charlie Kirk's assassin being MAGA. This caused understandable outrage over all of America, prompted TV station owners, right? Not even Trump did it. The owners, through their own initiative, canceled his show to say they wouldn't air him, and now he's being suspended by his employers. Why is he being heralded as some kind of free speech martyr? Because the media is trying to change the narrative. Because right now, the free speech martyr is Charlie Kirk. Because one guy, and this is the false comparisons, and this is how deceptive the Democratic Party comes across, right? Because they try, red line has been crossed because some unfunny comedian who's a political hack, a political partisan, hasn't been funny in years, lost his show because he tried to use his platform to spread misinformation, right? Something you guys say that's a fireable offense. You guys started the precedent. I have the clip. BS Now, I have the clip. CNN, I have the clip. You and Brian Stelter defending this stuff, right? And then the left try to make this fake equivalency. Harry Sisson, liberal Gen Z. We are witnessing the most brazen attack on free speech. Wow. We are witnessing the most brazen attack on free speech. Charlie getting shot wasn't the most brazen attack on free speech? Wow. You liberals, I see why people are leaving the party. I see why. In modern American history, wow. Bold statements. Elon, Trump, and MAGA said that they were free speech warriors. It's the exact opposite. I think shooting a father in front of his children because he was having a discussion with college kids was actually the most brazen attack on free speech. These people got a short memory, right? Short memory. David Pacman, one of the people who do this doublespeak, One of the hallmarks of authoritarianism is to terrify people into self-censorship. ABC ending Jimmy Kimmel show is the perfect example of this. Here's people bringing receipts. Andrew Wilson. Big win in the battle of ideas and free speech. Roseanne said that she wanted to say ABC made the business decision that was right for them. Now, big win in the battle of ideas and free speech. Jimmy Kimmel said what she wanted to say, or what he wanted to say. ABC made the business decision that was right for them. Same with Jimmy Kimmel. But you guys can't stay consistent because y'all not about anything. Y'all have no core values. Y'all only argue what's convenient for you. That's the problem with the left. And this is why they can go out and celebrate someone's death, because all of this is just a game to them. This is all just a game, right? And I want to play an example of this, because now you got these same people like Brian Stelter, right? CNN, MSNBC trying to make Jimmy Kimmel a free speech martyr when he didn't do nothing. All he did was spread misinformation, already putting more fire to the flame on the whole Charlie Kirk situation, right? Using it to demean a movement, demean millions of people. You see why Scott Jennings was pissed. So in this video, I want to go minute by minute of Brian Stelter, a resurface. This is an old clip of Brian Stelter. This is so how backwards these people are. When he used to have a show called Reliable Sources, aka Unreliable Sources, right? We're going to go react to it in real time. Let's take a look.
And the polluters are trying to deflect blame. Dishonest cries of censorship are filling Fox's airwaves with charges that these guys right here are being suppressed. The word censorship's been invoked almost 400 times on Fox this month alone, and more than 300 times on Newsmax. You know, post-insurrection, a book publisher decided that it did not want to be in business with Senator Josh Hawley. So he's been on a national TV tour claiming he's muzzled. And Tucker Carlson is telling viewers that this network, CNN...
And even what they're complaining about is not even the same thing. Conservatives were being censored for expressing opposing views that is based in reality, that's based in facts, right? And you just don't like it. You just didn't like the fact that it wasn't misinformation. That's why you censored conservatives. Because conservatives were saying something that was backed up by, they had data, they had facts, they had evidence to support their positions, their statements, their arguments, their framings, and you didn't want that information to get out. So you use content moderation as a way to filter that and prevent the right from expressing itself, right? And then with the Jimmy Kimmel situation, we want to tone down the temperature. How was any way what Jimmy Kimmel doing was toning down the temperature? I'll wait. And then you'll be the same people talking about how you want to blame everything on the right when your side is celebrating political assassins, deifying political assassin, Luigi, right? But you have the goals to come lecture us. But here you are, oh, Jimmy Kimmel, and then you defend his right to inflame violence. Like make it make sense. You're stoking the flames. This is an agitation on the right. Trying to frame Charlie Kirk as some bad person that kind of deserve it. That's the framing y'all guys are taking it. That's how Jimmy Kimmel was going about it. Making fun of Trump, saying, oh, Trump cried over Charlie Kirk like a 4-year-old cry over a dead goldfish. This is Jimmy Kimmel. This was a joke? This was jokes? The gaslighting is real from the left. And this was their position a couple years ago. I digress.
Is trying to force Fox News off the air, which is patently false. It's as predictable as the sunrise. Democrats win elections, and then Republicans say they are being silenced. But while some cry cancel culture, let me suggest a different way to think about this. A harm reduction model. Most people want clean air and blue skies, and accurate news and rational views. And then in that healthy environment that looks beautiful, then we can have great fights about taxes and regulation and healthcare and all the rest. The vast majority of people can agree that disinformation about, let's say, the pandemic is unhealthy. It's harmful. So how
the whole stitch that he put up about they want clean news and rational news, clean news, information, no information pollution, no misinformation pollution. That's the argument. Everything he said right here, Brian Stelter made the exact argument of why Jimmy Kimmel was canceled in the first place.
Then in that healthy environment that looks beautiful, then we can have great fights about taxes and regulation and healthcare and all the rest.
Yeah, because so how can we talk about free speech and all that jazz if reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech? Freedom of speech is different. Like let's read this quote here. Reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is different than a freedom of reach. Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel lied. What changed Stelter? A lefty got held to their own standards. This is something that conservatives have been complaining about online. That's something I complain about online. It's a two-way street. Whatever standards you try to force on the right, it's in conservatives' nature to force you to live by your principles. It's in our nature. I'm sorry. It's in our nature. This is why you like to call us reactionary. It's in our nature. Okay, so this is your standard. Live by your standards. Hey, Jimmy Kimmel, you spread misinformation. You have no evidence to suggest that Tyler Robinson was MAGA affiliated. None. Other than his daddy was affiliated with MAGA. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Accusing a kid's affiliation because of what his father is. Make that make sense. Jimmy Kimmel. Sorry, I keep saying Jimmy Fallon. Maybe he's going to get fired too. Jimmy Kimmel. So he deserves reach. Oh my God, you're banning free speech. But then a few years ago, you was just defending the same position that conservatives are doing. Conservatives just holding you accountable to the standards you claim to have. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. Accountability culture. Because Democrats, leftists, progressives, lefties, liberals, y'all love to start ish until the conservatives come to finish ish. Then y'all crying. Then y'all want to cry foul. Then y'all want to cry, it's a brazen attack. It's a brazen attack on free speech in modern history. It's not like a man just died speaking for his beliefs. No. But a comedian, a fake late night comedian, gets canceled and fired by his own employer because he didn't want to issue a correction to the record, right? The same thing will happen to The View. You know how The View, before they go on break, they make clarifications. Hey, sorry, we didn't. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel did not want to do that. That's why he lost his job. That's why he lost his show. Because he didn't want to correct the record. Reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is different than freedom of reach. Right? This is the standards the left has set, right? Oh, it's a private company. They can do whatever they want. ABC just did whatever they want. Oh, he's appeasing Trump. No. Trump didn't put any executive order. Did Trump express outward political pressure against ABC to censor Jimmy Kimmel? He just said, I didn't like what he said. The FCC person, I didn't like what he said. The networks that run his show, the news stations and the TV stations that run those shows and air it for him at his time slot, they didn't like what he said. And they said that this is the stipulations, and I'll end it off here. They want Jimmy Kimmel to issue an official, sincere apology. They want Jimmy Kimmel to donate to the Kirk family and Turning Point USA. You know damn well he ain't gonna do that to get it for them to be open to air his show again. He's not doing that because of his pride. He had a decision to make. Jimmy Kimmel made a decision. This is the consequences for it. One, he spread misinformation about Charlie Kirk's killer and the motives of his killer, right? Two, when given the opportunity to correct the record, he said he has nothing to apologize for. That was his words. Three, the news nations reacted. They said, okay, ABC was like, we ain't putting you on the air then. Because these people won't air you until you actually take some form of accountability for what you did. You don't appear sorry. So out of Jimmy Kimmel's pride is the reason why he lost his show, not because of cancel culture. But whatever excuses you want to give to not hold Jimmy Kimmel accountable for his actions, his decisions, for producing this outcome. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspectives in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts and opinions on this. Do you agree that Jimmy Kimmel may have freedom of speech, but he doesn't have freedom of reach? And do you think it's fair, right? Do you think it's proper for conservatives to essentially do our job and the liberals' job of holding them accountable to their own values that they spew out of their own mouths? Let me know your thoughts and perspectives in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions on this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so kind. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.